Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Top 10 MOCs of the Week, where we highlight some of the best custom LEGO creations people have been building and posting online during the past week. And there have been some stellar MOCs put out by the community, so you definitely want to stay until the end to see my personal favorite ones as a custom builder with over 1.5 decades of experience myself. But before we dive right in, let me quickly introduce you to our web store BrickVault.toys, where we sell the instructions to some of the best custom creations ourselves. Everything is 30% off right now during our May 4th follow-up sale because we received a ton of messages from people who missed the big sale. Past week we released a beautiful rendition of Anakin's Pod Racer and minifig scale by builder MockAbrick. Beautiful build, so make sure to check it out in the description below. Also down there you'll find all links to the builds and builders I talk about in this video, and stay until the end to see quite a few more MOCs than the ones in this list itself. Let's begin with this beautiful build simply called Townhouse by builder ModulexFan, with the help of several builders that you can find at the link in the description. This is technically a repost because this house was first built in 2023, but it's so good that I still wanted to highlight it here. The house itself looks very cozy, could be a house from Japan or some of the countries of Southern Europe maybe. The build is absolutely jam-packed with details. The balcony up top uses green hose parts for vine detailing. I like the AC unit which uses rubber bands, and there's some laundry hanging there I believe, using minifig hands. The power pole uses quite a few interesting parts here as well. Old finger hinge parts in black, and these round parts that get used in engine cylinders that are instantly recognizable from real-life power poles. The plant here uses parts from Modulex I believe, which is basically smaller LEGO parts initially made for architects to work with. The wall seems to have some paint coming off, revealing the brick structure underneath, which gets recreated here using skirt pieces I believe, but let me know in the comments if that's correct. The house itself is super interesting to look at, especially the windows and door. Lovely build for sure. On 9th place we have the Swift Assault 5 Hover Scout designed by another brick in the MOC. If you don't recognize this vehicle, I don't blame you. It's not an X-Wing or TIE Fighter, but this is from Star Wars, namely from the Empire at War expansion, Thrawn's Revenge, and in universe this is from the same manufacturer that also made the UT-80. This vehicle is really bizarre, but I gotta say the designer did a phenomenal job. The curvature in the front is impeccable, I love how that was done, and I see a lot of cheese slopes lining up with angled sub-assemblies to reduce gaps to the bare minimum. I also like how the windscreen is done, and using container door pieces always elevates a MOC. This also has a full interior with seats for 6 passengers and 2 pilots. A really cool build for a very niche vehicle, but I can always appreciate the fandom for stuff like that. Moving on, we have the Armada Galleon Esperanza, I totally butchered that name, by Brick Perfection, which is a perfect name for this model because this is awesome. This ship was actually submitted to the Bricklink designer program, which the voting is already over now, so we might actually be able to buy this in the future, which is very cool. The ship itself is incredible. I love the shaping of the hull, the curvature created here is perfect for a ship like this. There are tons of details all around, tons of ornate details too. We also have a whole interior in here with an awesome mechanism on display here, where you twist the knob at the back and the cannons come out on both sides. So cool. So yeah, I highly encourage you to check out the designer and leave a follow to not miss it if this is actually becoming a Bricklink set. On 7th spot this week we have this awesome James Bond diorama by Building Connections Official called Goldfinger's Treasure. I love the way the ground is done. Firstly, it's embedded into this clean black border with the James Bond logo integrated into the side with some advanced snot work, which means that's not on top. The ground itself has layers to it, forming steps that lead up to a treasure. The steps are really cool because it looks like each step is offset by a hover plate, which is very tricky to do with LEGO. Up top we have the surface level with a jungle depicted. There's a tiger hiding in here and some nicely done vegetation. The truck seems to be stealing the gold from this temple, but James Bond is saving the day here by jumping off the helicopter. Really cool diorama build, I always love when there's multiple levels to a MOC like that, so congrats to the designer. This is the crossover you didn't think you needed, but you got anyways. This is the Colossus by Fright's LEGO Builds, a mix between the LEGO themes Fabuland and Exoforce. Per the post's description, this absolute overkill of a machine exists to protect the Fabuland village from enemies that try to sabotage the production of strawberry juice or want to destroy the ice cream supply. I'd say this is a perfectly reasonable response to that threat. This death machine is piloted by Clara Cow, who sees herself as the combat cow. Very accurate, dare I say. The build itself is massive. It has two main weapons, with one being a minigun and the other being a laser cannon of sorts. But this robot also has multiple missile launchers and of course a secondary minigun as well. It even has a bit of interior with a small walkway to the cockpit and backup missiles inside, and I gotta say, I love this concept. At the halfway mark, we have a ginormous diorama build of a Star Wars planet called Seleucami during wartime, and it was built by JF Mock Stories. This build looks absolutely stunning. It consists of over 60,000 pieces, took a year to construct and uses 120 minifigures. We have a whole village here with 10 buildings as far as I can see, that each on their own would deserve a spot on this list. Incredible detailing packed into here already, but that's just the start. This whole diorama has so many levels to it, it even has details embedded into the mountains that can be seen from the sides. It seems like the separatists are holding clones captive under the surface and pirates are controlling the underworld. Dare I say, I love the vehicles here too. These are actually the BrickVault ATTEs by Busker and the Bark Speeders that were actually designed by myself back in 2020, I believe. But my favorite detail is the swamp with those weird rock formations that we actually see during Order 66 in one scene, so really nice inclusion here. The next build was designed by Build a Life in Pieces, and it's a cathedral that got infiltrated by a mysterious black alien creature. Someone in the comments said that it's Cthulhu, so the church is called Cathedral, which I think is fitting. The building itself is made up of hundreds if not thousands of tan pieces. It looks like the full palette of LEGO's tan parts is on display here. We have a ton of battle droid parts integrated, as well as pieces from skeletons and even crossbow stud shooter parts at the entrance. The parts usage is insane. The color scheme obviously makes for a great contrast between the building and the creature that is bursting open the back of the building and taking off one of the spires of the front towers. Let me know in the comments which is the coolest part you spotted in this build here. I'm curious to know. The bronze medal this week goes to Stents by LEGO for their Skeletor build. If you don't know, Skeletor and He-Man are characters from Masters of the Universe, a franchise from the 80s and 90s that many know from the action figures. This Skeletor is sitting on this throne with a ton of skulls displayed around him. The face of Skeletor is beautifully done and it's definitely where this mock shines. It's instantly recognizable and uses some interesting parts here too, like a leaf piece on the forehead creating the eye sockets. The pose is very cool and he's sitting on some fur recreated with probably hundreds of those reddish brown horn pieces. I know that was tedious to build. All the skulls are connected in very dynamic and unorthodox ways to make up his throne, and it leads all the way up to the top. Very cool build and something I haven't seen being built too many times in LEGO before, especially to this level of detail. Great work. The second place goes to Goodman LEGO Creations with a build of a Mayan temple on a small slice of the Mexican jungle where this pyramid can be found. We have the pyramid itself completely overgrown by some beautiful plant life. The lime green lianas are a perfect piece to use here. We even have a statue head laying on the ground here, and there are soldiers exploring the site. The description says this is in 1523, so this makes sense. I just love the vibe of this build. I've been a fan of jungles all my life and the Mayan culture is super interesting to me, so this has my personal silver medal. And on first place and rightfully taking the cake this week is Ordovis the Forbidden Voyagera by Nate MOCs. This is a Leviathan from LEGO Ninjago, but even if you're not familiar with the origin, this is just insanely cool nonetheless. The snout was created using a leg part from a Knight's Kingdom set. The scales use minifig flippers, which makes for a very natural texture with the lines in those pieces. The belly is made up of a piece used in a Dreams set, and the designer said it's supposed to recreate bioluminescence. The dorsal fin is made up of Ninjago cape pieces. I think that part works extremely well here for a deep sea dragon. The pose of this dragon is also so dynamic and lifelike, it looks superb. What people are able to create with LEGO bricks is just insane nowadays, especially dragons and creatures are profiting off of the builder's creativity. I'm always blown away by dragons like these. And that wraps it up. 10 mocks from 10 builders and many more if you stay until the end of the video. Every single mock you can see here you can find with the links in the video description below. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, check out BrickVault.toys for awesome instructions and big discounts, and I'll catch you guys in the next one at BrickVault.